The Edible Bean School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Hensall Co-op.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin. Welcome to the Edible Bean School. Today I'm down at Hensall Co-op, and we're going to talk about the 2023 crop, and we're going to look at a specific class, adzuki beans, which is gathering a lot of interest. We'll be joined later in the show by Barry Cavanagh to talk agronomics and grower management tips, but we're going to kick things off with Wade Bickell from Hensall Co-op for a look at the market for adzuki beans. So Wade, hey, thanks for taking the time, joining me on the Edible Bean School. Now you are Hensall's origination manager. Talk about the adzuki class, the adzuki bean. Where do they fit in the marketplace? Where do they end up from an end-use product perspective?
Okay, Bern, they end up as a dessert bean, more or less, in Japan. They're used in pastries, and you'll even find in a Kit Kat bar, there'll be adzuki-flavored chocolate bars and adzuki-flavored Pepsi. You know, adzuki beans are synonymous with a sweet treat to our Japanese customers.
And they go to Japan, right?
Yeah, Japan for the most part. Now, there is other markets in Southeast Asia. All of them are pretty well protected by a tariff quota, so it limits how much we can actually ship to those countries to protect their farmers.
Exactly. Now, how long has Hensall been in the adzuki market?
We've been in the adzuki market since the mid-90s. It all started with Walt Vermont coming over to Japan to learn the techniques and how they produce adzuki beans. As well, we brought those agronomists from Japan to Ontario to teach us how they do it and to learn from them.
Now, adzuki's differ from other classes. Now, what's the big difference?
Well, they're a species unto themselves, right? So they emerge differently than like kidney beans or white beans or black beans. Those beans, when they emerge, they bring their cotyledons up out of the ground. When adzuki's emerge, they leave their cotyledons in the ground, similar to peas and alfalfa.
So let's talk about the market. What about 2023 now? Opportunities for growers. What are you telling people about adzukis in the new year?
So adzuki beans for 2023 offer growers a great opportunity to increase their revenue per acre. You know, they've been priced better than they've ever been priced before, and I think it's a great opportunity for Ontario farmers.
I'm now joined by Hensall field marketer Barry Cavanagh. We're going to talk about agronomy of adzuki. Barry, talk to me about this statement. Once an adzuki grower, always an adzuki grower. What's the story behind it?
Yeah, so that's a cute little cliche that the adzuki bean has inherited, and you can blame it on its ability to procreate, to advance the species into the next generation. At harvest, these beans are very dry and they stay dry. So when anything that doesn't make it into a combine sits on the ground, and it'll stay there all winter. And the following spring, they can, once exposed to soil moisture, can grow and contaminate subsequent crops. So easy problem to fix. There's lots of herbicides to control them, and there's a lot bigger weed problems that growers deal with other than volunteer adzuki beans.
Yeah. So let's talk about adzuki across the province here. Where do they fit? Do they fit on every acre?
The short answer is no. Adzuki beans have grown on every soil type, but we find our greatest successes on the lighter textured soils, the sand loams, the silt loams. Avoid clay soils for the most part, and you want to stay off your drought-prone soils. Adzuki beans do not handle drought very well, especially in the reproductive growth stage. So the biggest soil parameter you want to be cognizant of is your soybean cyst nematode levels. Adzuki beans are the poster child for soybean cyst susceptibility, so avoid those soils.
What about equipment? Anything special we need to be running adzukis?
The only thing you need to get set up with is, we recommend putting them through a planter over a drill. So you need to invest in plates to accommodate the small seed size. They run about 4,000 seeds per pound, which growers aren't traditionally used to using. So the planter plates is one, and at harvest, we highly recommend draper heads. It's just a great technology to increase harvest recovery, and that's the only added thing we would recommend.
Yeah. Now, we talked about weed control and maybe taking out some of those volunteers, but what about in season? What are we looking at from a control perspective?
Yeah, so we do have a good arsenal of herbicides to use on azuki beans. Due to their slow growth, the first 30 days, there's lots of soil exposure. So we highly recommend a good solid soil herbicide application. Our base recommendation is a Pursuit Prowl. And the biggest advice we can give is watch your weeds as they come and control them early.
What about fungicides?
They're susceptible to all the diseases out there that other dry beans and soybeans are affected by. So good arsenal of tools to help combat them as well.
Yeah. What about, final thing, any tips for growers who haven't grown adzuki in the past? What do they need to watch out for? What are some of the things you would tell them?
Yeah, so I would just put it on your best ground. Start with a plan, know the tools you have at your disposal, and biggest thing is just count on your buyer for their knowledge and expertise to advocate the greatest success.
Awesome. Hey, Barry, great to have you on the Edible Bean School. Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate the interest.